Today, hospice programs continue that mission of helping people focus on what matters most and live meaningfully right up to life's final moments. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about palliative medicine in addition to hospice. All right, so palliative medicine is a specialized type of care that focuses on improving comfort and quality of life for people living with a serious illness. The goal isn't to replace treatment, but to support patients while they're receiving treatment, helping to manage symptoms, stress, and the emotional impact of an illness. So who can benefit from palliative medicine? Really anyone at any stage of illness. It's not limited to advanced disease progression or end-of-life care. Patients can receive palliative support from the very beginning and from the start of a diagnosis, throughout treatment and even into survivorship. As for when palliative care should be offered, it's most effective when it's offered early to help with that symptom management. Overall, palliative medicine is about living well while being treated. It focuses on comfort, dignity, and quality of life at every step of that journey. All right. Now, hospice care is a specialized type of medical care that focuses on comfort rather than curing. The goal is to help people spend their final months in peace, free from pain, surrounded by support, and able to focus on what matters to them as an individual. This might mean spending meaningful time with loved ones, revisiting favorite places, or simply being comfortable at home. Hospice allows patients to make the most of this time on their own terms. Hospice is available to anyone with a serious illness who have been told by a physician that they likely have 6 months or less if the disease progresses in its usual course. So we understand we don't have a crystal ball, we can't predict the future, but it's that 6-month window for insurance purposes. It's not limited to one diagnosis or age group. Patients with conditions like heart disease, cancer, dementia, or lung disease can all receive hospice care. And what's important to remember is that hospice isn't about giving up. It's just focusing on that comfort and dignity as opposed to the cure. All right, so this is kind of how the hospice care is provided. At the center is the patient, and then their family and friends, loved ones, and then the clinical team on the outside. So hospice is a team-based approach, like I said, around the patient, involving family and friends and a variety of specialized caregivers working together. The team includes medical professionals, such as nurses and physicians, as well as support roles, which include your social workers, chaplains, volunteers, and grief specialists. Together, they provide comprehensive care that address the physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical needs to ensure comfort and support for the patient and their loved ones. All right. In addition to the medical care, there are some programs offered by various hospices that can help to enhance the comfort, emotional support, and quality of life. These programs include things such as art therapy, music therapy, and pet therapy, as well as specialized programs such as massage therapy and the Death Doula program, which Beth will elaborate on in a moment. We also, and other hospices also have an 11th-hour vigil program. This is where volunteers come out and are at the bedside when a patient is kind of nearing their final hours. It's offered to individuals who maybe don't have family, or the family is coming from out of state. or just to be an additional support when families need someone kind of on hand. All right, so kind of comparing hospice and palliative. Both of the programs focus on comfort and quality of life. The main difference is going to be on timing and the goals. So palliative, like I said, it can be offered at any time during the disease and progression. There's no time limit, and a patient can still receive treatment such as chemo, dialysis, physical therapy, wound care, all of those wonderful things. Hospice, on the other hand, is for people who likely have 6 months or less to live. The focus is going to shift to comfort and support rather than curing the disease. In palliative care, the patient will keep their regular doctor and add on the palliative physician kind of as a specialist, like a cardiologist or a pulmonologist. Your palliative person will be just added to that care team. In hospice, you get that full team of the nurses, the social worker, chaplain, and volunteer who come in and can either take over your care or work with your current physician. Medications and supplies and equipment are going to be covered through your regular insurance when you're on palliative, whereas hospice, it will be covered through your Medicare benefit as long as it's related to your disease. So there are a lot of myths about hospice and palliative care. Many people think that hospice means giving up, or that palliative care is only offered at the very end of life, and that's just not true. Both types of care are really focused on support and comfort. So one myth that we hear all the time is that hospice is a place you go to die. They think that hospice is a physical building, kind of like a hospital or a nursing home, and this isn't the case. Go ahead. Hospice teams can go to wherever you call home, whether that is a house or apartment in the community, an assisted living or retirement community, or even a nursing home or hospital setting. The goal of hospice isn't to move you, but rather to bring the comfort and support to you. Hospice helps people live as fully and comfortably as possible, often for months, not just days. Another myth that we hear quite often is that hospice is for people on their deathbeds. Many people think that hospice is only for the last days of life, whereas hospice, like we've said, is available once you have that life expectancy of 6 months or less. And many patients on our hospice and other hospices are with us much longer than 6 months. Look at Jimmy Carter. You know, he was on hospice for what, a year and a half? Yeah. Okay. So, you know, as long as you have that disease progression, you can be on hospice for longer periods. It's also completely flexible. So patients can choose to stop hospice treatment at any time. If you know, another therapy comes up that they want to try, they can unenroll in services, try those therapies, and always come back to hospice. There's no penalty or limit. Hospice is there when you need it, and again, the goal is to ensure that people have options and control over their care at every stage. I'm going to turn it over to Beth.
All right, hi everybody. I'm Beth Eck. I direct the end-of-life doula program at Hospice of the Piedmont. I'm going to carry on here talking about some myths of hospice. And so, it is not the case that you need to leave your doctor when you come on to hospice, okay? So hospice teams will work closely with your primary care physician, your provider, whoever it is that you pick. However, you are also offered a hospice doctor. It is true that you will, once you come into hospice, have to choose one or the other. You can have one physician, but you can go either way here. Because sometimes people, you build up this big relationship with your primary care person, and you don't want to lose that. So we don't want you to lose that either, if you'd like to keep it. It is true that your doctor does not have to refer you to hospice care. Anyone can refer. A family member can refer, friends, doctors, even the patient. You can do a self-referral to hospice. So I think there is a sense that people think, oh, my doctor has to do this, right? You will need, as Hannah said, those two doctors to kind of confirm your prognosis or give indication of it. It's great to just have an admissions visit. If you're sitting here and you're thinking, I don't know.
When's the right time to call?
When's the right time to call? Okay. Yeah, this is hard to know too, right? So typically, if you no longer want to be receiving treatment, if you've had a long-term illness and you no longer want to receive treatment, you know, cancer is the easiest one to think about. You know, you decide, listen, I've had it with chemotherapy or radiation. You no longer want to take a medication that you've been taking, right? And you've decided that you want to move your goal from cure to care. And you want to think about other things that are important. So moving past trying to eke out as much time and really focus on the quality of care that you can have.
So you can call as early as you want, basically.
You can call
what
as
you're
early as
saying.
Yeah.
Just call and see if it's a good opportunity to sit down with somebody from hospice.
Yeah, and they, you know, they're gonna review your notes and what have you, so they can see kind of what's going on there, yeah. Hospice care is expensive. Yeah, we hear this sometimes, but the truth of the matter is that it's covered by Medicare, Medicaid, and most private insurances. At our hospice, regardless of what your financial status is, we do everything we can, you know, to serve you. I think I want to say something else about that. Oh, I think I have it in another slide. It's not 24/7 care. I think sometimes what happens is people have been caring for their loved ones for maybe quite some time, and they're really exhausted. And hospice comes in, and it can feel like, oh, thank goodness, the cavalry's here. I'm going to get some extra support, and you absolutely are. But hospice doesn't provide custodial care. Like, we cannot be there 24/7, because that care is mostly going to be provided by family, right? And so a nurse is available to you though, 24/7, right? And that nurse will decide in the middle of the night, right? Talk you through some things and decide, okay, what's happening here? Can they educate you over the phone? Do they need to send someone out? You know, would that be the wise thing to do? I would say that it's really great to have hospice sort of teach you how to do the care, because that can feel really overwhelming, right? And so being able to educate you about the care you're going to be providing mostly for your loved one. Yeah, hospice means giving up. You know, we see people, I do understand where this is coming from. It can be a psychological, emotional, mental leap to say, going on hospice now, I am a person on hospice, right? That makes sense. It's an identity shift for yourself, right? However, it doesn't mean giving up. Rather, what it means is we're going to focus on having you live as comfortably as you can in these last stages of your life. And so It's a full, you know, the total pain model of hospice. You know, we're addressing total pain, emotional, spiritual, social needs, not just the medical care. And so it doesn't mean giving up. It is a shift. It is a shift, particularly, I think, in a society where we're focused on more and more, right?
Treat it, do it, come on.
Exactly, that kind of cure model. But it does mean focusing on what matters most, right? And only you can make that decision for yourself, what's gonna matter most. Oh boy, okay. Once I start talking about this, there's kind of no stopping.
You got time, you're okay, you're good on time.
I'm just gonna warn you. Has anybody heard of a death doula? Oh, look at this! Oh, fantastic! This is great. This is great. Would anybody like to offer their definition of what this is? Yes.
Sure, I mean, I think of like doulas and midwifery first, which are, they're not the midwife, they're not the medical expert, but they provide a lot of the support to the mother who's having birth. And I think of death doulas as doing the same thing.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good.
Okay.
So the death doula model is based on the birth doula model. And death doulas also go by end of life doula, because I know death, it's a lot coming at you right out of the gate, okay? But the principle is the same as the birth model doula. Birth is a big life event. There is a lot to plan for when you're bringing a life into the world. Emotionally, practically, logistically, there's a lot to prepare for. And after you bring this new life into the world, your life's never going to be the same. Death is a big life event. There's a lot to prepare for. And after you die, life is never going to be the same for the people around you. Right? And depending on your own beliefs, it'll be different for you too. Right? And so what the model really focuses on is that preparation for that time. And we can come in, death doulas, you know, the fact of the matter is, here's what I know about everybody in the room. We've all been born, we're all gonna die. Right? These are certainties, right, that we know. And so, hold on, I had a brain cramp. Hold on. It'll come back. Oh, so because we're all going to die, you can really have a death doula anytime you want one, right? You know, because there's stuff to plan for. Even if your death is way out in the future, or it's tomorrow, okay? Because we don't know, actually. We don't know when we're going to die. So having some kind of preparation, kind of all along the way, and I would just say, it's kind of nice in these little bites too. Like, ooh, I'll work on a 5 wishes document. I did that, I feel pretty good about myself, right? Oh, I'm ready to sign a DNR. I'm probably not ready for that yet, but are there other kinds of paperwork, you know, that I can get in place? And be thinking about having conversations around those documents as well.
And we will have some 5 wishes. I would love to hear a little bit about that if one of you two want to cover that at the end.
Okay. And so, but most people, even though you could have one at any time, most people, when they get diagnosed with a serious life-limiting illness, this is when they might start to think about an end-of-life doula, right? Because even though the date is unknown, kind of on a little path maybe right now. Okay? So that's typically when that would happen. And so we are, death doulas work with both the individual themselves and also their caregivers, right? And sometimes doulas are working just with caregivers and not the individual, because everyone in this circle is going to have end-of-life issues and concerns. Okay? And what a doula provides is a non-judgmental presence, a safe space for talking. And also, thank you, yeah, that's great, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot what's up here. Here's what we can offer. Certainly intentional presence. So, listen, I sit like this all. I am wound pretty tight. My mind is like, except when I'm with someone who's in any stage of dying. And then I am like, boom, I'm in, right? Total intentional presence. Doula has not, they're just with you, giving their attention to you, right? And what might you do there? You might do things like life review, right? What do you see as meaningful about your life? What, and things you may not even realize, because it's just been the life you've been living, you know? But are there things, values, objects that you would like to pass on to others, right? I think about this. I walk into my parents' home, there's a lot of stuff in there, just a lot of stuff, right? Well, which of those things is meaningful stuff? I don't know, right? And my parents don't really want it, they needed somebody else for a doula. They're not gonna talk to me about it, which is what's nice about having that third person. In this space for reflection, you can really be thinking about, well, what matters here? I think it was Kate that was saying, when I leave this world, you know, will I feel at peace? Will I have said what needs to be said? Will I have reflected? Will I have given other people an opportunity to say things to me? And so the planning part, right? A doula might help, support you as you plan your memorial service, or write an obituary. That might seem kind of grim, but so helpful to the people that you leave behind. So helpful. It's a gift, really. We can, doulas advocate for patients as well, right? Just to be another voice is making sure your wishes for whatever your good death is are being heard and abided by. This is a little diagram we have here, which I think is kind of helpful. It's sort of why work with a doula, and you see the sort of stuff that happens on the outside with your loved ones. Sometimes there's a feeling, I've got to stay positive for other people, right? Or I have to put on a brave face. I don't want to be a burden to people, right? Very common. With your death doula, you can have time for authentic conversations. You can share stories that feel important to you, right? I wasn't at your family reunion 30 years ago. I'm not going to correct your story, right? I'm not doing it, right? So you can share the stories that are important to you. You can imagine how you would like to be remembered. Find ways to explore your legacy. So these are just some of the ways, right? Going with that birth doula analogy though, a death doula may be with you during that active dying period, which is the parallel to labor and delivery. And then that doula comes back 3 or 4 weeks after the person has died and offers a closing doula support meeting, you know, just sort of checking in on people. How's everybody doing, right? In a first new normal.
How is that different than a spiritual support person?
Yeah, thank you, thanks. Yeah, so in terms of the, so spiritual care, I hesitate to say care, can be part of a doula role, right? Can be part of what we offer. I know for doulas, because we are not ever just pushing our own beliefs on people, we're providing space though for people to actually just ask the questions about meaning, what happens after. And as a doula, I don't have the answer to that. I have never died. I don't know. Okay? But just allowing space for that question and having, right, because we don't have somebody else's answers about that. And so that's going to be really important. That is not the same thing as your own spiritual advisor, your chaplain, your minister, which is really a ministering, right? And that is different from what a doula does. Does that help?
Yeah, I know that is a part of all Medicare mandated hospices to have a chaplain, but not
Absolutely.
everyone has a doula program.
That's absolutely true. So there are very few, actually, I think, how many hospices are there in the United States now? 5,000?
At least that.
At least that, at least 5,000, so a lot of hospices. There are probably fewer, gosh, when I started, I found under 25. And so I'm gonna say that maybe, because it's gaining in popularity,
Okay.
that, well, it's more than that. I don't know. It's hard to know. It's a hard thing to
Why do you think it's
research.
gaining in popularity?
I should probably interject, because when I went to school,
Yes.
hospice was a new concept. So this was in the early 1980s.
Oh, right.
Getting my master's
Yeah.
degree, and hospice was brand new, and we were just learning about it.
It was like
Then
natural
in this
childhood.
community, deaf doulas started showing up 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. And
Yes.
it wasn't with hospice first, but then,
That's right.
hospice
Mhm.
came, so we became aware of it and said, wow, this is really interesting. And
Mhm.
it started spreading across the country. We don't show favoritism in this program. We're also nonpartisan. But what I should mention is hospice of the Piedmont is somewhat special in that regard with the comprehensive set of programs that they have. And so I would identify hospice of the Piedmont to be a leader in that regard. How about that?
Yeah, well, thank you, Frank. Yeah, I will say that, yes, when I get to, here's the thing. If there is a story on the news or some sort of feature about an end-of-life doula, I get calls from friends and they say, oh my gosh, so many people are going to have a doula after this. And I say, no, so many people are going to want to be a doula.
Yeah.
And that's typically how it works. And when I get discouraged, right, we've been able to serve a number of people, but when I get discouraged about that, I think, wait a second, just as Fred's saying, hospice has been around for like 50 years and half the population doesn't know what that does, right? So if I'm going, hurry up, we're gonna have to wait a little while, right? We're just in the toddler phase, really, of end-of-life doulas at this point, right? That's okay, that's okay.
I wanted to pull this slide back
Oh,
out.
okay,
Because it got switched out. I wanted to make sure you had a chance to review that then.
Thank you. Okay, so if you were to be with hospice of the Piedmont, what would happen is that a patient who wants this, right, would be paired with the doula. And I can say for myself that I work really hard to try to get that fit to be pretty good. And then you have, though, the opportunity to meet and just make sure it's a good match, to hear a little bit more about how it works, right? Because some people, you know, they are interested in support, like whatever you've got, like I'll take it, you know? And sometimes I meet with people, or we have about 34 active doulas right now, meet with someone, and they hear about it, and maybe they say, I'm not quite ready for that yet, right? Or thank you, you seem lovely, I don't want this right now, and maybe they come back in. That's okay, that's all right, right? We're gonna check that out. And then you basically, a person makes a plan with the doula. You know, what's nice about end-of-life doulas mean, it may be cause of concern for some people, is that we're not regulated. So we have more, right, we're regulated by our organization. We've got particular rules we have to follow, but doulas are much more flexible in when they give their visits and stuff, when they give their supports, and more unstructured, yeah.
Are doulas ever hired privately outside of the hospice arena?
Yeah. So I had a question earlier about a doula in the community. As far as I'm concerned, the more the better, right? I want everyone who wants one to have a doula, right? So we do have doulas in the community who work for a fee. Yep, absolutely. And other hospices, I will say what they do sometimes, if they don't have a doula program, is they will contract with that community doula, right? So you can definitely use that.
But with the hospice of the Piedmont, you're not paying for the Doula Services. And so this is a shift in our community that I'm just beginning, and Tracy, excellent question, in terms of to recognize that some hospices are providing this as, if you will, a value-added service and a needed service, where also people are doing this privately for a fee. And that is reflective of our healthcare system, a variety of different ways it works.
Yeah.
But eyes wide open with that regard.
Yeah. So at our hospice, it's a volunteer service, yeah.
If it is through the hospice, how soon can you get one? You know, like you have the palliative care, that it'll pay for anyway, is it under the hospice care, or is it under, or can you still get one under palliative care?
Yeah, if you're with palliative care in our organization, yes, you can have a doula.
Okay.
And we're really trying to, we've got more and more palliative patients who do have a doula because there's more time. And that doula then can carry over if the person decides to go on our hospice. You know, that doula carries over with them. It's kind of the continuity of care there.
How do you become a death doula?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I trained through 2 organizations. So the organizations are sort of proliferating, the training organizations, so you wanna really read into that and check that. I trained through 2. And, what was the question?
How do you become a death doula?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you would do that, sorry, you would get some training. At our organization, we also provided training, specifically for people who are gonna work.
You're the trainer.
I'm the trainer, yeah.
Oh, look, there's my picture.
Here we
We
are.
didn't put that in the handout because it's a branded slide, but otherwise, no, we did want you to see.
Want to make sure you guys have the information.
Yeah, here we are. And so, what happens is I train doulas, or doula students, aspiring doulas at our hospice as well. And all of those doulas, I just want to say, have volunteered with HOP for at least 6 months. So they've gotten, you know, kind of into the system. They're used to being with hospice patients. Yeah.
And the training is a year, 6 months?
Thank you, Kate. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. So let me just say something about outside trainings, just so I do that, right? I took one training that was really immersive for 3 days somewhere in person. I also did a really excellent training that was 3 months online, that was synchronous and asynchronous. You know, there are different ways to do this. I will say that our training is 30 hours of in-person class time, plus 20 hours of outside work. Yeah.
We've got time for one more question for Beth, and we'll have more general time for Q&A at the end. We got one more little set of information to share. Last question for Beth, or save it? There you go.
I don't know if it's me for you or someone else, but am I clear, I hope, that you can nominate yourself for palliative care, hospice care, and a death doula? You don't need to have someone else, you know, provide a prescription or that.
Right, so you can definitely be self-referral to both palliative and hospice. With hospice, you have to have that prognosis of 6 months or less, have that validated by two physicians. And with palliative, you can self-refer, but your physician has to put an order in for that, because they are gonna end up still being your physician.
Well, what I would always say is, you don't have to wait for them to make a
That's right.
suggestion. You can go ahead and ask the question, hey, would I be a good candidate? Would you mind if I explored it, you know, I'm gonna call HOP or whatever, and have someone come out. And you can be the front man on it, you know, you don't have to wait. A lot of times, it's hard for a doctor, especially a doctor who's known you a long time, to tell you, hey, it's time to talk about hospice. They have a hard time with that. It's not in their nature generally. There's a lot of ones that are wonderful, but a lot of times the physicians are trained to treat and to fix and to do, and they feel like it's a personal failing sometimes if they then say, I can't do anything else for you, I think you should call hospice. That's very hard. So if you can bring it up at your next appointment, I think that's wonderful. All right?
I want to thank Beth and Anna. Wonderful set of information, and I'm going to close things out. By the way, I'm Fred Young from Blue Ridge Elder Care.
I didn't even introduce him.
That's okay.
Sorry.
A lot of you may just be used to me. But anyway, I appreciate being here, and also want to introduce Sherry Hansen.
Sherry,
the registered
right.
Sherry.
You'll get my name.
I'll get that right one of these days. No, just that she's so sweet. No, but anyway, she's a registered nurse, very talented, and has joined Blue Ridge Elder Care, and it's reflective, just like with hospice, the need for services for older adults as we are in various stages of life. One thing that is near and dear to my heart, and I am an old college professor, so I will admit that, is providing education. And although this is somewhat old school to have hard copies of handouts, but I've been involved in this for going on 5 years. So we have handouts of all the educational programs we've done, and one thing that we pride ourselves on is we bring in the experts to do that. So over here on this table is our library. So these are extra copies. I'm also a bit of a closet environmentalist, that's true. But anyway, these are extra copies of handouts that you're welcome to peruse through at the end of the program. We're also, and then also here, we have display copies, including this wonderful emergency folder that we're in the process of ordering more for. But anyway, all this information is available, and it is a list of all these different educational handouts are on the back of this sheet. So you have this available. And if you sign the sign-in sheet and your information is here, we're also going to have this list available. So if you want, and you can order up to 3, okay? We are in the process of putting this onto our website, but it's not ready for prime time, but it should be by the end of the month. But since you're special and you're here today, you can order up to 3 copies and we will email that to you. If you're interested in any of these topics, you can write it down on this piece of paper, which I'll put down over here. The other piece of information that I would like to share is a public service announcement. And the question here is, how many of you, all of us live in Albemarle County? Pretty much. Have you gotten this in the mail?
Yes.
Yes? No? Maybe so. Okay. What this is, look for this, and possibly you didn't get this, but this is very important, and it's very important to Blue Ridge Elder Care in part. That's why I took the time. As a matter of fact, this is the first public service announcement I think I've ever done. I haven't done this before, except for, of course, voting. We're very strong about that, okay? But anyway, these are extra copies. And what you can do is write down on here, if you would like to have up to 3 of these handouts, and we will mail them out. 3 of you have 2. But that's that. Coming back to this Get Connected, what Albemarle County has done, the Fire Rescue Squad. This is a big organization. These are the people who respond when you dial 911. Okay? What they are doing is they are having an online database which collects information about you and your household. And what this does is provide them with information so when they get there on a 911 call, they are better prepared to assist you and your loved ones. And I'll show you some of the information that they collect. And it's easy, you go online, it's one of those typical things, you create an account, you write down the password, of course, always have to write down the password, and you're gonna enter the most information when seconds count. Your house is on fire, this is serious business, okay? And the things they will ask you, your contact information, and this is Fred's, but whatever, I just took it off my own website. And, in our house, we have 2 adults who are over 65, that's my wife, that's me. Functional levels, I put some information about that. We have a 20-pound dog. So your house is on fire, they know that we got a dog. Helpful to know. Access tells them, we rent out our downstairs, it was a B&B. So they have information on that, so they can go around the back of the house. And then you can order a smoke alarm, and they actually have a grant that you can get smoke alarms, new smoke alarms, or they'll help you with your smoke alarms. Anyway, all this information is available for you. Strongly recommend that they have this. Again, can save a life in a life-threatening situation. You can also let them know, hey, I walk with a walker, or my husband has a wheelchair. You know, whatever that would be, you put that information in there, they can look for that to help you.
Would it also work in the event of a power outage that Albemarle County knows you need oxygen and therefore you need to be able to have access to electricity potentially?
And I only learned about this last week because I went to 2 different public events and they had a table there. And so I was kind of curious, and I had gotten it in the mail, but I hadn't really had a chance to look into it. And I was like, wow, this is really important. So anyway, strongly recommend for folks to do this. So.
How about if you're in the city? Same thing?
Same thing, same thing, if you're in the city. Yeah, this is countywide, this is the entire area.
Includes Charlotte.
Include Charlottesville, yeah, include Charlottesville. Cool, okay. And then finally, last but not least, yes?
On that note, I think a lot of electric companies providing electric service will often have a program where you can self-identify as having a need for electricity to do things like oxygen concentrators.
And that's good to hear, so hopefully that's an integrated program,
Dominion
so that people have that.
Dominion, Virginia Power?
I don't know about here, but I do know about it in some other
I'll look
counties.
into that.
Yeah.
Cool.
This could be future education that we do. One of the things also, we have an evaluation form, so when topics like this come up and it's like, wow, this is cool, would be good to know, Kate's gonna write it down, I think. Thank you very much for doing that. So we're gonna do that in the future. We also have a fire marshal who couldn't come last month because it was Fire Safety Week across the United States, so we couldn't get him to come, but we're gonna see if we can get him to come in the future.
As well.
Speaking of the future, on Tuesday, December 4th, planning for the rest of your life, how to do it, and why now. This is future planning, which of course we all avoid until it's too late. Yes, ma'am?
I'm looking at my calendar, and actually it's Tuesday is December 2nd. The 4th would be a Thursday.
The 4th would be a Thursday, wow.
Yeah.
Author Era, that was Fred.
But it is a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday, okay,
First
so we're close.
Tuesday.
We'll change that to the 4th. And this is a slide, I can change right now, but it is, oh, it's on your handouts. This is important. Please correct on your handouts, and thank you very much for that.
It'll also
lady.
be
I'll
on
come
your
up with a
constant
prize
contact
for you.
if you're on our email list, so.
Hopefully, I'm pretty
reminded.
sure January 6th is right. Of course, this is 2026. So anyway, planning, life planning, and how to do it. You also get a checklist that you can take with you. And then on January 6th, we're doing also a new subject that was somewhat based on a request. Your sensory health, why it matters a lot. And we are having Dr. Kate, what's Dr. Koch's first name? Kristen, Dr. Kristen Koch, who does some seminars here at the center, by the way. She's gonna be our featured speaker to talk about hearing health, which is a big deal. Very big deal about hearing health, but we're also gonna talk about eyesight, smell, taste, touch, what makes the world valuable, and also the fact is, all of us are aging, we're just on various points on that continuum. We will lose some of our sensory health due to aging. It's a natural aging process that will occur. And it has a major impact on us, and what we want to do is maintain that as long as we can for optimum well-being. So we have those 2 things there. Now, any questions
I'd
further?
love to bring our speakers back up for
Yeah.
just 2 minutes about advanced care planning
There we go.
Q&A.
Okay.
I'm a huge proponent of advanced care planning, advanced directives, living will, whatever you want to call it. Write it down, tell somebody who can speak for you. Go for it.
All right, so as Kate mentioned earlier, we did bring copies of the 5 Wishes workbook. This is a wonderful resource. It walks you through everything from naming your healthcare decision maker, if you're not able to make a decision for yourself, all the way to funeral planning. The best thing is that in the state of Virginia, this is a legal document. So you don't need to have it notarized. You just have to have 2 witnesses sign it. Those witnesses cannot be who you pick to make decisions for you, but you can have someone in this room sign for you. And then both UVA and Centera, if you take it to them, they will add it to your electronic medical records.
And it helps you go through the decision-making process by asking great questions about how you want to be treated while you're alive. This is in the event you're not able to speak for yourself, what do you want to have happen to your body? And who is going to help the doctors to determine that? Do you want a feeding tube? Do you want artificial respiration? Do you want everything done? Do you want a few things done? If so, for how long? There are a lot of questions that we often don't want to think about, but that will come up in the course of a hospital stay, for example, that someone's going to have to answer if you're not able to speak, and that can happen quickly.
Do you need one of these if you already have the other thing that you mentioned?
I'll let Hannah and Beth talk about that.
Do you need one of these if you've already done this with your attorney and blah, blah, blah?
No, we just recommend though that you pull those documents out. A lot of people think that it's a one and done. You know, I've completed it 10 years ago and it doesn't matter. Things change, you know, our circumstances change and kind of how we want to age change. So pull it out, just make sure it's up to date.
Just have it done.
Sure, then you are probably fine, yes
So I
ma'am.
don't need that.
But I would say
Yeah.
that you might want to go over it with your family. Your feelings, your preferences, your thoughts about it, especially if you've had a new diagnosis of a chronic illness or any kind of, health challenge in light of that. Because it really has to embody your feelings about care and the understanding of that, because it's not black and white, it's very gray area.
And we can't plan for every circumstance. So if they kind of understand, your feelings on certain things and having that conversation, this works really nicely for prompts. Just so that if the unexpected does happen, your family feels more empowered to make those decisions for you.
Two questions.
Just a comment, we use that with my aunt, and it's just, the directive is a lovely, legal, objective piece of paper.
Black and white.
It's dynamite. That is way more comprehensive in terms of, well, do you want somebody to be massaging your feet? Would you like some perfume in the air? I mean, this is not listed on the management
Light or dark?
directive.
Yeah.
So it's just a good conversation.
And with
Your
your medical
personal
power of
preferences.
attorney, I should also point out, you did your medical power of attorney, that's usually what's called part of a larger power of attorney. Your agent is key. So you'll have an agent named, and a lot of times it'll be the same agent for both the financial side and for the medical side, to make sure that that agent fully understands what your wishes are. So getting together with that agent, whoever is named, that they actually have a full appreciation of what you would really like done for these different kind of
Of the
circumstances.
spirit.
Probably not a bad idea to do that, and it matches,
And it matches.
and you put them together.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
And you could even append that legal document, signatures, that kind of thing, and your attorney probably should welcome that if it's a good attorney.
I wanna echo Kate, the most important thing is to have the conversation with
Good
the
point.
people who are closest to you.
Right.
Who will be your community of care, so that they've heard you say these things. That's
They
really
can
the
back you
most
up,
important.
they're gonna be
Yeah.
using your words to help you.
I'm sorry, I missed, how do we get on
We brought copies.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we don't have enough, then I will mail them to you, but we should have enough for everyone in the room.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Fabulous. It is noon. I want to honor your obligations and your time today, and thank you all so very much for being part of it. I think we can stick around if need be, answer questions. I didn't give you a ton of time for Q&A, sorry. It worked out well, so thank you. Your daughter, how did it all go? Good?